Hello and welcome to It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. This is a podcast for business leaders and business owners just like you. We're going to be sharing top tips on how to develop yourself personally and professionally. I'm going to be sharing updated podcasts on a regular basis, so please do make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy today's podcast.
Tim Harris helps successful leaders stop drifting and start leading with intention. He's a former global head turned coach and EOS implementer. He reinvented his life after burnout by rowing across the Atlantic. Now he challenges entrepreneurs to choose discomfort over comfort, build real accountability, and create businesses that don't quietly consume their lives. I've put the link in the show notes to Tim's LinkedIn profile, and his absolute most defining moment was halfway across the Atlantic. Mate, I'm really pleased to have you on the podcast today. I'm really, really pleased you've made the journey up from Buckingham to sunny Peterborough.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks
great
for having
class.
me.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you here. And I'm conscious the microphone might be a little bit too far away, so you might just need to, just in your face, mate, you know.
Nice.
You can move it away to have a coffee though. So there's a little bit of banter because Tim felt like he was on Live Aid. Was it Live Aid or Band Aid? What was Band Aid?
That's a good point, actually. Could be Band Aid.
Band Aid.
No, that sounds like a.
Yeah, it sounds like Elastoplast or something. Yeah.
Anyway, it was Feed the World.
Feed the world. Feed the world is what it is. Yeah, feed the world.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing because I'm rubbish at it. Tim, so my first question is around, you've led at a global level, you've burned out, and then quite literally rode into massive discomfort across the Atlantic. In fact, the first time I've really, I'd met Tim a few times at a networking event in London, but the first time I heard him speak, he talked about his row across the Atlantic, and I found it absolutely fascinating. It inspired me to want to do it, and then I think within 24 hours I'd re-decided that it wasn't going to be a good idea for me. But when you look back, was burnout the breaking point or the wake-up call you'd been avoiding? Tell us a bit more about what you were doing and the events leading up to your row.
Brilliant question, by the way. It's a really searching question. I've not thought about that before. So I was global head of this commodities business. I had 3 teams in 3 time zones. I guess typical city job, up very early, so I didn't see the kids before work, and really in order to see them after work I had to leave earlier than my clients would like, which was a bit unreasonable of them. Mm-hmm. But it's just how it is. There's always someone that will work longer hours than you.
Sure.
So I guess that's the fight in the city. There's someone that will work 20 hours a day and take business away, and that's why you have to set boundaries.
Sure.
And if you don't, it's one of the things that contributes to burnout. But yeah, I was working long hours, and like many British stressed city folk, and not just city folk, a coping mechanism for stress is alcohol. Mm-hmm. You often feel, and you hear it all the time, oh God, that's a tough day. I could really do with a beer. Mm-hmm. Takes you a while to realize that that's counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. And it just increases the stress because it puts pressure on your body. You don't sleep as well. And if sleep is the key to pretty much everything. So sure. You're just adding to your stress by having that beer, and it was never one beer. It was lots. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I don't regret my career at all. I have a lot to be thankful for, and sure. Part of my sort of journey, if you like. I know people overuse this word journey, but part of my being comfortable with what happened was honouring the fact that I had a good job and a good time for a while.
Sure.
And being grateful for that, but then parking it and moving on. You know, so I have this, you know, this saying: honour it, thank it, park it.
Yeah.
So it's not all regret. It
Sure.
was just that towards the end, for whatever reason, and that was partly alcohol and partly just values. Actually, I started having a value misalignment.
Okay.
I just no longer felt I could work with some of the mindsets in the industry.
Sure.
And it was less a light bulb moment. That there were a couple of moments that really made me think, okay, something's wrong, and I'll tell you about those in a sec. But it was more of a slow erosion. You know, I don't want to sound too woo-woo, but
you're welcome to sound as woo-woo as you like.
well, I felt like I maybe regret saying this, but I felt like my soul was being eroded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that I wanted to be able to look, it sounds very idealistic, but I wanted to be able to look my kids in the eye and say, I'm proud of the work I do. And I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Very proud of my work ethic.
Sure.
In 24 years in the city, I can count on one hand the amount of times I was late for work, and that would have been for trains, not me just not being able to get up. So my work ethic was second to none. And so I'm proud of that. But I just got to that place where I thought, there's got to be something more interesting to do than this. And there's more to life than money. I was earning a hell of a lot of money. And I just thought, if I don't do something about this, I'm either going to be very sick, or I'm going to end up at 60 with a big pot of cash, but not knowing my children, probably divorced. So halve that pot of cash.
Yeah.
And looking back with lots of regrets. And, I try and live by the credo, a life of no regrets.
Sure. So you left your job and went rowing?
So as part of if I don't do something, I'm going to be here at 60, because, 5 years, 10 years, they just fly by, and people often say they want to do something and they don't. And that's one of the things that actually bugs me about people, and I could see it in myself. And it was probably one of the big light bulb moments of my life. October 2019, I was thinking about this row, and it was a proper light bulb moment. Ticks every box. It gives me something to focus on when I've left work. It's something real, something tangible, way outside my comfort zone.
Sure.
I love the ocean. Admittedly, not being in the middle of it in a 7-meter boat for 2 months, but I love the sea.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I sign up for this, then I'll either have to leave work because the training is taking too much of my time and I can no longer do my job, and that will be that, or if I managed to get to the row having not left work, surely midway across the Atlantic, I'll realise that it can't be the right thing to go back to that way of life.
Sure.
As it happens, I had a bit of a breakdown before that. So to say it worked out well is not really how I remember it, because I wasn't well. But during COVID, in the September of 2020, when I was asked by my employers to come back to the office, I just couldn't. It made me. I could barely breathe thinking about it. So.
So so during COVID, so COVID kicked off sort of March 2020, so 6 months before.
Yeah.
Had you been work from home or
no? So March 20,
been furloughed, or
March 23rd, we went home. We were sent home, and I was working from home from March 23rd until September.
Yeah.
My team were actually still going to the office. For some reason, they felt they were key workers. I'm not going to pass judgment on that, but I didn't feel that was the right thing to do.
Sure.
And it was particularly tough. It was tough before COVID, and then it was very tough trying to manage that team from home.
Sure. And when did the row come up? How does that fit into the timeline?
The row. So I signed up for the row on February the 13th, 2020.
Okay.
And this is all part of the story. I couldn't write this bit. On February the 13th, 2020, I was in Antigua signing up for the row with the owner of the row.
Yeah.
And one of my oldest friends, lovely man, one of my ushers, phoned to say that his 15-year-old son had just taken his own life.
Oh.
And I'll never forget that. I mean, I was just stunned, lost for words. Unbelievably sad for him. He was stoic, but I mean, I just can't imagine the pain that he went and goes through. One of the tiny upsides from that, there aren't many upsides from that, but was that it set my mind to who we were going to raise money for.
Sure.
It was always going to be mental health related.
Sure.
But with Isaac dying, we being Simon Calver and I, Simon Calver was my rowing partner, another lovely man. We focused on teenagers.
Okay.
And we didn't want to focus on suicide because we thought that talking about suicide for 2 years wouldn't actually be great for us.
Anyone, yeah, understood.
And we found this, Simon found them, in fact, a charity called STEM4, whose strapline is promoting positive teenage mental health. And we loved
I love that.
That spin, spin on it.
Yeah. Get what you focus on. Focus on the positivity.
Yeah. And they've developed lots of apps, teenagers, if you have any.
Yeah.
They're just obsessed with their phones.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
a daily fight for most parents.
Sure.
And STEM4 have these apps that help with mental health. So you tap on, there's one called Calm Harm. And they do a brilliant job, and they're a small charity, but they punch well above their weight. And
love that, yeah.
It was great to come across them and raise. We raised £160,000 for them.
Wow, that's obscene.
Which
amazing.
I believe I mean, it paid for new office premises for them, and I think kept their apps running for 5 more years, maybe. So that was a good thing.
Wow.
And don't get me wrong,
160 grand raised.
this the row was not altruistic. The row was selfish on both our parts, Simon and mine.
Yeah.
The charity raising was just a bonus. So
Sure. Yeah.
I often say it was a charity row, but it was a Tim and Simon row with a charity benefiting.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's some significant fundraising that you did.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. And something I hadn't done before, so something else that was way out of my comfort zone, because, you know, I don't like being beholden to anyone, and so asking people for money when you're not really giving them anything in return is very difficult for me. So that was
Okay.
I was out of my comfort zone everywhere.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So 2 months in a boat with Simon.
Or 2 years of training as well with Simon,
Yeah.
who I didn't know very well.
Okay, so you didn't go until 2022 then?
2021, December the 12th,
Yeah, okay.
21, we left.
Yeah, okay, right, okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't know Simon well beforehand?
No, so, and he won't mind me saying this, I had asked about 8 other friends if they would do it with me, and they'd all said,
Okay.
got to be kidding me.
Simon was ninth
And
choice.
Simon, I hadn't known him very long. He's the dad of a girl that was in my daughter's class at school.
Okay.
And we were I was actually getting quite concerned because I'd bought the boat,
Oh,
2-man boat,
Yeah,
not cheap,
yeah.
and signed up and committed, and I just happened to be in the pub with Simon one day, and it was a bit of a throwaway line. I don't suppose you fancy rowing across the Atlantic, do you? And he just sort of looked at me and went, yeah, sure, why not? And
Amazing.
I was like, oh, okay. Great. Let's do that then. Let's row across the Atlantic together.
Yeah.
I'm Tim.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit like that, but we got on brilliantly. He's a special person. Still very good friends now, and for what is not an enjoyable row for a lot of the time, he made it bearable for me.
Awesome. So the question was, when you look back, was burnout the breaking point or the wake-up call you'd been avoiding?
Is that your polite way of saying just answer the bloody question, Tim?
No,
Stop
not at
rambling.
all. It was just me sort of going back to
Yeah.
sort of what do you think?
What was the question? Breaking point or...
Breaking point or a wake-up call?
Wake up call.
Love that.
Yeah. Because I didn't break.
It's a really good point. A really, really good point.
Yeah.
So you're halfway across the Atlantic and it's probably quite lonely. Well, apart from Simon and shitting in a bucket. And you were shitting in a bucket, weren't you?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
About 3 feet from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Not nice.
No applause, no social media likes, no safety net. What sort of came up for you in that sort of silence, in that loneliness, in that quietness as you're traveling across the Atlantic? Where's your head at? What's your mindset?
So the loneliness hit us strangely on Christmas Day. So that was long before halfway across. And bearing in mind, over the 2 years of training for this event, and with all the psychological advice we'd taken from experts in, endurance challenges and solitude, we even spoke to the SAS. We forgot to look after each other in those first 2 weeks because, well, I say because we just didn't want to let each other down. And so we went into ourselves and we just went, right, row, eat, sleep, clean, repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think top of our minds was like, I'm not going to break, or I won't break first. I'm not letting Simon down. And he was thinking, I'm not letting Tim down. And what happened was we forgot to talk to each other.
Okay.
And even though we were on a 20-foot rowing boat, just two of us, on Christmas Day, we were desperately lonely because we hadn't spoken. And of course, Christmas Day just makes you think about family back home. And that was another wake-up call. And so we spoke about it in exactly this way, you know, Christ, we've just like, how are you?
Mm.
And we just hadn't asked each other how we were, which is insane. We were rowing the Atlantic after 2 years of training, and we hadn't said, how are you doing? And we were knackered and sore and, you know, hundreds of emotions going through us.
Sure.
And we just said, yeah, I'm more tired than I've ever been, and slightly daunted by the next 6 weeks of rowing for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And this food is shit. I can't bear it.
Yeah.
And I've got 6 more weeks of that. We had to take on 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day of this freeze-dried astronaut food. You know, taking water out of the sea, desalinating it, boiling it, pouring it into the packet on a camping stove, and eating this gloop that was sometimes 1,000 calories a serving. It was, you know, you had to really sometimes just force it down yourself.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because you had to have fuel.
Yeah, sure.
It was
5,000 to 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just part of the process. You had to fuel yourself.
Sure. And you must be like sore and painful, and your muscles are aching, and you're not getting a day off. And it sounds, my head goes to it's miserable. Like I had COVID the other week, or what I perceived to be COVID potentially, and like literally, I got irritated with the sound of my own voice, whining to my wife about how shit I felt, and I don't know.
So actually,
how do you even find the positivity?
Actually, on that front, I got COVID before the row, and I had long COVID, and I was in bed for 8 weeks, and I was a week away from having to cancel the row because, you know, with sort of 3 weeks to go, I was still in bed, and you know, we're supposed to be ramping up the training at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a close run thing. And then, and this still hurts thinking about it. When we flew out to La Gomera, we had like a 6 a.m. flight, so leaving the house at 3:30.
Sure.
So I said goodnight to the kids the night before, and they were flying out to La Gomera the following Friday to see us, because we were in La Gomera for 2 weeks, testing and getting ready for the start of the race. Yeah. So they were going to come out and see me. So I didn't make a big thing of saying goodbye. I just said, night, I'll see you on Friday.
Sure.
They then got locked down.
Oh.
So having not had a proper goodbye, I then wasn't going to see them for 3 months.
Yeah, wow.
And that was horrid. And actually even worse for Simon. And he took this like the trooper that he is. About a week out from arriving in Antigua, his daughter contracted COVID. And so having been planning to come out and be there on the dock to greet him, they couldn't fly.
Wow.
And, you know. Yeah, he took that like a trooper, but that must have, I know that stung.
So there was no one there to greet him when he arrived?
Yes, his partner was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but the kids weren't. Yeah.
And my wife and my parents were there, but they had contracted COVID while out there, so they had to be,
Distance.
they had to be distant. So when I arrived, they were sort of, at the back of the crowd on a terrace with their masks on, waving. That, yeah,
What a strange time.
A couple of things. If I could have said I would like this to have happened, I would have loved to see whales.
Yep.
I always thought we'd see whales.
Sure.
And we didn't. We saw some amazing wildlife, but
I can imagine.
no whales. We saw sharks, we saw dolphins. The bird life was amazing. The night skies were unforgettable. Proper sort of Steven Spielberg comets soaring across the sky.
Amazing.
Milky Way, a carpet of stars, no light pollution. Absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
And it would have been nice to be able to hug my dad and mum when I arrived, but hey ho. First world problems, as they say.
So you talk about choosing discomfort over comfort. For people who are listening right now, leaders in particular, what's the most common comfortable lie you see them living?
I'm too busy. Yeah.
Nice. And
or I'll just do it myself.
Okay.
Which disempowers the people that work for them.
Just poking around the I'm too busy, because there's a lot of people who work really hard and the I'm busy is uncomfortable in itself, but it's more comfortable than actually dealing with.
It's an excuse.
Dealing with whatever they need to deal with.
It's a comment that's just, it's too easy to use, and it's habit forming, and especially with now we've all got our calendars, digital calendars, that sometimes a lot of the time are generating meetings automatically. It's some people even enjoy having this sort of kaleidoscope of a calendar in front of them with back-to-back meetings all week, and they haven't actually thought about their priorities and what is going to take their business forward or take them personally forward. The most common one I find is that people just don't give themselves any time. So the more aware leaders I know, they will block out what we call in EOS a clarity break.
Nice.
And they will put it in they will block it out in their calendar like a meeting.
Sure.
And it will be, it will just say clarity break or me time or whatever, whatever you call it,
Yeah.
I believe millennials call it safe space. Shouldn't mock that really.
It felt like a mock.
Yeah. But yeah, it's incredibly important to just take 15 minutes out of your day just to sit with no tech and not think about nothing. And our brains are so clever at sorting out our thoughts if you just give it a chance and sit there without thinking about where you must be or what you think you must doing. But I mean, there are so many studies, right? If you give someone 5 days, they will fill that 5 days with meetings.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you give them 4 days, I think studies have shown they'll get even more work done because they then value that 5th day off and they prioritize better. It's all about prioritizing. You have to think about what you must get done. Top 3 priorities, and then you work through the other stuff. And when you look at a lot of those meetings, either you really don't need to be having them, or they really don't need to be 90 minutes. They can be half an hour, or really it doesn't need to be you. And that's the other excuse. It's like, no, I need to do that meeting. Do you really?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you empower someone below you? And then that contributes to a better culture in the office.
Sure.
Because then, Joe Bloggs below you goes, oh, that's brilliant. I thought Pete, the CEO, was going to take that meeting, but, he told me to. That made me feel fantastic. And that ripples through the company.
Sure.
That the leader is trusting people below.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. clarity break.
Yeah.
It's really funny, actually.
And empowering people below you.
Do you know why I've smiled? Because I actually went through my diary, and I created some space in my diary for some personal time. I didn't call it a clarity break. I can't remember what I called it.
Personal time's good.
But yeah, I put some space in my diary, and then guess what? The first bit, once the diary starts to get crammed, guess what the first bit is that then gets booked.
Yeah. But it shouldn't be able to get booked.
No, I know. And I sit here like I'm, holier than thou and really good at it. But the reality is, don't get me wrong. Like I do, I do make time for the things I need to make time for. But having an actual clarity break, like I think there's real value in just having nothing in the diary, right?
Yeah.
Whereas generally speaking,
I would counter that by saying, you actually need to prioritize personal time. You need to have it in there as personal time, because if it's in there as nothing, you'll fill it with something.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, you you will. So accountability to me is reality over intention. It's all very well having good intentions.
Yes. Yeah. It's the reality of the choices. Yeah. I hear that. When we were preparing, you spoke about your mum's advice about being careful with your words, and that's clearly stuck. How's that shaped the way you lead, challenge, and hold your clients to account today?
Well, historically, it's been harder with clients because I wasn't in the position to say to them, don't speak like that. In an ideal world, people would be able to say that, because you should, in an ideal world, value the people you work with and have the same kind of values, and therefore they wouldn't speak ill of you or others.
Mm-hmm.
But in the city, a lot of the clients were big egos, not particularly nice people, maybe, or maybe just having a bad day. I try in retrospect not to judge what was going on with them. It could be anything. It's like when you see people driving badly or getting angry, you don't know what they're going through, do you?
No.
But it's easy in the moment to judge them and say, what a dick. But yeah, it was more with my teams. I tried to encourage just not saying the first thing that comes into your head, because it's a stressful job. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to blame or shout or grumble when something hasn't gone your way. And yeah, Mum she just said it's indulgent to just speak your mind without thinking of the consequences, and words hurt, right? Words, sure, yeah. Like people remember words.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of, I can think of relationships where something you said 20 years ago gets dragged up. We've all been there, right?
For sure.
The thing you've said when you're drunk or when you're stressed, under pressure, and you just think in the moment, oh my God, I'm going to regret that.
Hi, my name's Pete, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's podcast. I'm a coach, speaker, and author. And if you want to take your personal development that bit further, did you know that I offer a mastermind program as well as one-to-one coaching? If you're interested, please do reach out on peterushmer.com.
Yeah. So it is easier said than done, but it's good to have in the back of your mind, just take a pause before you respond, which I'm much better at now, but historically I've been really bad at.
Sure. I was going to say, when just us chatting, even whether like on the camera now, but just away from the camera, you always strike me as probably one of the most measured people I know in the thoughtfulness you take to answer something and the warmth that you do as well. I just thought I'd point that out.
Well, that's very kind, but and I think I am quite self-deprecating. Under pressure, it has been different. in the past, and
Sure.
and that's the crux of it. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for us to sound thoughtful and measured when we're in a relaxed environment.
Sure.
It's when we're under pressure,
Yeah.
in whatever guise that
when,
may be.
when the shit's hitting the fan,
Yeah, that it's and it's something it's the thing I'm trying to improve about myself the most, is being better on my bad days.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you raise a really, really good point in that I've invested in all sorts of different courses and personal development, and I hold myself to a high standard. But you are right, that's all okay on my best days, but on my worst days, I'm an absolute bloody nightmare.
Yeah.
And I realised that, literally last week, Maggie, my wife, it's making me think about when we were chatting on the phone, and you said about NLP Master Prac tells wife. I can't remember what it was that we were on a Zoom call. I can't remember what we were talking about.
No,
But I asked her something, didn't I, that I shouldn't have to ask, something about when our wedding anniversary was, or something ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, she had me last week. She's a very good truth teller and a truth seer as well. That there's no hiding at all. Hilarious, really. You said illness and transitions early in life formed patterns, which is interesting. So we talk about patterns. What patterns did you have to unlearn as a leader before you could truly lead with intention? What were the patterns?
So at the time, I thought I was leading really well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an empath, so when my teams weren't feeling well or they had stuff going on personally, I wasn't that, Gordon Gekko type character who said, I don't care about your personal life, leave it at home, get on with your work. I was quite understanding, I think.
Sure.
And I was certainly available, and I was open and honest with them as I could be as a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it, I could have been more of a servant leader, which I think is now understood is in most industries the best way to lead.
Okay.
So I think in my father's generation, it was very much, I am the boss, do as I say.
Sure.
You're lucky to have this job.
Mm-hmm.
I think now the best cultures are created by, I'm lucky to have you. How can I make your day better?
Mm-hmm.
I have a responsibility towards you and your family. And yeah, be less of a, it's an awful word, but certainly dictatorial should not even be in the equation.
Sure.
It's a tricky balance. You don't want people to think that you're a pushover.
No.
But certainly I do like the phrase, if you can't serve, you can't lead.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Because I think you need to be of service to your staff.
Yeah, to your team.
Especially these days when recruitment is so hard and so expensive and so time consuming. When you lose a good employee, it's crippling for some companies. The time it takes the time and money it takes to rehire and then retrain.
Mm-hmm. It's an enormous investment, isn't it?
It's an enormous investment. Having said that, you have to have, and this is an EOS thing, you have to have the right people in the right seats.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens in small businesses is you beggars can't be choosers. So you take whoever you can get.
It can be really hard to recruit into a small business.
And then
That
as you're
challenge.
building, you suddenly realize, actually, my wife, who I hired because I needed someone to pick up the phone, is not good at her job, or my nephew is useless, or my neighbor is he's just not. I don't need him here, and that's where the awkward conversations have to happen. But because humans optimize for comfort,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have those conversations, and so the awkwardness builds.
Mm-hmm.
Same in personal life as business life.
Mm-hmm.
That's
People
the tough thing about business,
optimise
right?
for comfort. I really like that. People optimize for comfort.
So if I could be more accurate with that, we evolved in tribes, right? So you were witnessed. What you did for the tribe was seen, and you were known, and you were held.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't work in tribes anymore. There are so many solopreneurs, and it's really tough because, and this is where I need to be more accurate in that earlier comment, humans left alone optimize for comfort.
Yeah.
Humans in teams optimize for growth.
Yeah.
Because it's another form of a tribe.
Okay.
So and this is what EOS espouse. So I don't teach motivation. I create the environment where humans used to thrive.
Yeah. Okay.
So accountability itself is not a tool. Accountability needs to be the environment.
Yes.
Where you look at everyone you pass in the office knows that you are a person that knows what they're supposed to be doing and does it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to do to run a business.
Nice.
No one needs to worry that something isn't being done because you've had a weekly meeting and you've discussed everything that needs to be done, and everyone has complete clarity in their role.
Yeah.
And they are held accountable through metrics that are set collaboratively as a group, objectively. And every week you sit down and you have to look your peers in the eye and tell them that you're either on track or off track with those metrics that you've all set collaboratively. Unless you're a psychopath or an idiot, no one wants to turn up to that meeting and say, and look someone in the eye and say, I'm off track. It's human nature.
Yeah. It's really interesting, actually, because that's picked up one of my further questions, which is you're big on personal integrity as a fuel source. How do you define integrity when no one's watching, and how do you spot when it's slipping in a team?
Well, if it's in a team, then there's always someone watching. It's hard when you're on your own. So, in fact, I'll elaborate on that. And it sounds like a pitch, but it kind of is and it kind of isn't.
No, that's fine.
Without a structure, and of course, EOS is the structure I use. Without a structure, then it can go unnoticed in a team. But if you have a structure such as EOS in a team, then nothing goes unnoticed. For solopreneurs, it's incredibly hard. And actually this gives me great confidence about my work as an EOS implementer, because AI will never, ever be able to replace humans when it comes to accountability.
Sure.
Because you have to have another human in the loop.
Mm-hmm.
Just so picture this. You're thinking, I'm a solopreneur, I need to be accountable. So you say to whichever AI machine you use, right, hold me accountable to these tasks this week.
Sure.
And it comes up with a list.
Yeah.
We're very clever as humans.
Mm-hmm.
As I said before, we optimize for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And all that happens if there isn't a human there to hold you accountable is that you renegotiate with yourself. You don't know you're doing it, but your subconscious or your protector, whatever you want to call it, says to yourself, you're supposed to have done 1,000 press-ups by today. And you'll very cleverly come up with a reason why it's okay that you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no human there to hold you accountable.
Sure.
And you'll make it a good reason. You won't just say, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Your mind's much cleverer than that. It will say, oh, do you know what? I've had a bit of a niggle in my shoulder and, I can feel a sniffle coming on, or, it's probably not great that I push my body physically too much when I'm feeling subpar. You'll justify it very cleverly, but it won't get done.
Sure.
Because we just renegotiate with ourselves. You have to have a human there to hold you accountable.
I love that.
That's why teams work.
Yeah. I like it. And interestingly, you've talked already about if you can't serve, you can't lead. You said if you can't serve, you can't lead. Where do leaders most often confuse control with service? Because I've worked with a few who have been about fear and control and dictating and taking control of situations. That's not serving, is it?
No. Off the top of my head, you might be frustrated with someone that hasn't done something you've asked them to do, and you say, "Oh, look, I'll just do it myself."
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with bringing up children, right? You just enable them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's where we referenced it earlier. When you're under pressure, you have to just take a breath, think about your response, and rather than, oh, for God's sake, I'll do it, which is, it's not compassionate. It's quite judgmental and it's patronizing. And maybe it's idealistic, but I think you need to aim for the ideal world, and you'll end up somewhere between the ideal world and the real world.
Sure.
But really, you should take that moment, take a breath, sit down with them, and say, "How can I help you do that?"
Sure.
And that's what the best leaders do. The
Sure.
worst leaders just, like my mother said, they're indulgent with their words. So they'll say, "Oh, for God's sake, I'll do it if you can't."
Yes.
And they almost double down.
Yeah.
So not only are they not trusting them to do it, they're patronizing them, and they leave them feeling shit.
Yeah.
And then they take time out of their already busy day to do it, which gives them a backlog.
Yes.
And the whole point of EOS is that it gives leaders and owners and leadership teams their time back by being more efficient and prioritizing. So the last thing you need to be doing, having created some time for yourself, is, oh, for God's sake, I'll do it then. Because if you do that to, even 3 people, that's probably half a day's work. And
yeah, it's obscene, isn't it? It's obscene. Picking up on the accountability piece, there's an element of accountability that how do you separate accountability from that builds trust from accountability that builds fear? Because part of accountability is there's still a fear driver there, isn't there? That, or if I don't do this, I'm going to get found out, or people are going to think I'm shit, or whatever it may be. So that's still a fear driver. Should we be trying to build accountability that builds trust rather than fear, if that makes sense? And how do we do that?
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but again, in the EOS process, we will sit as a leadership team and very openly, honestly, and vulnerably talk about people's strengths. And we will maybe not create roles entirely for them, but the idea is that you put people in a position that they are using their best skills, so they are most likely to be good at and enjoy.
Sure.
So ultimately, for the leadership team, you want them all doing what they are best at and what they love the most. Okay. In an ideal world, the whole company would be like that, but that's quite idealistic. But you're listening to people. You do psychometric tests on people, and you see what they're likely to be good at. You speak to them about what they like doing, and you, as much as you can, put them in a job that they're going to thrive in. Mm-hmm. So I think that takes care of the trust side of accountability, because you do it collaboratively in front of them. It's transparent. You talk to them openly in front of the team. Mm-hmm. And, if I say to you, Pete, do you agree that, you need to make these 50 sales calls by Friday, and they need to be of this quality, fulfilling these 3 criteria, for instance. Mm-hmm. If you agree that, if we all agree that that is achievable and you can do it, that is trust. Mm-hmm. Surely. We're saying, well, we trust you to do that.
Sure.
And if you haven't, then we'll address it. Mm-hmm. And maybe 50 is too many, and we have to just, we need to rein it back a bit so that it doesn't overwhelm you as an unattainable number. Sure. And that's the skill with the weekly metrics. Sure. Is that you so when you look back over a quarter, you look at 13 weeks of data and you look at people's metrics, it's as bad to see all green as it is to see all red.
Sure.
Because if it's all green, then you haven't pushed someone.
Haven't stretched.
You need occasionally for them to dip into the red to know that they're on their limits, if you like.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, all red is not good either, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're at the limits. That might be that you haven't been as clear as you thought about their role.
Sure. So it's about the intention of the enablement rather than the intention of punishment, I suppose, is sort of what I hear there.
Oh my God, 100%. That there's not an ounce of punishment. Like there should never be punishment in a culture.
No.
It's and that's why you have these open and honest conversations. Mm-hmm. And the values piece in EOS means that if you're all aligned on your values, no one will be thinking about punishment. They'll all be thinking abundantly.
Sure.
About, I love the way this culture works. It's open, honest, vulnerable. It's hardworking, but it's transparent, and I understand they're going to set me objective metrics, and they've been through them with me, and I agreed.
Yeah.
So it is objective. Yeah. And so if I dip below that, I'm letting them down.
Sure.
But they're perfectly correct to pull me up on it if I haven't.
Perfect.
It's purpose, it's momentum, it's motivation, it's accountability.
I love that. So if a leader's listening and they feel successful on paper but hollow inside, what's the uncomfortable question they should ask themselves this week?
I would say, what is your definition of success? And if it's just monetary, then they need to take a damn good look at themselves. That sounds really judgy, but I'm okay with that. Hollow inside. Yeah, very simply, like, what is their definition of success? What would make them happier? What do they want? It's very, when I coach C-suite executives, very often the first question I'll say is, "Why are you here?
Yeah. What do you want?
What do you want?" And I mean, it's incredible what comes out of some of these guys. The pretense, I'm living a lie. I can't bear the corporate world, or I don't enjoy the people I work with, or I'm just so stressed, but I've got no one to tell. What happens with that, and it certainly happened with me, is I used to think that resilience was binary. I used to think that you either had resilience or you didn't. And what I've learned over the years, and I do some talking on this and some workshops, is resilience it's on a scale. It's like the spectrum. You hear people are ADHD or autistic, or but where on the scale are they? Because some people you can tell are way off the scale, and some people barely on it. But resilience is the same. So at one end of that resilience scale, it can be healthy, flexible, sustainable resilience. And at the other end, it's brittle, fragile. It's all about denial and withdrawal. And that's toxic resilience.
Sure.
And that is when, people are being stoic, or they think they're being stoic, and they probably are being stoic, but unaware. And they're just forging ahead, pushing against an insurmountable weight. And it's only going to lead to one thing, which is burnout.
Sure.
And that's why you have to have things like these clarity breaks in your diary, so you're not just back-to-back meetings. And I find it really annoying when people say, "Oh, I'm so busy." When people say that to me now, I used to think it was a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I used to say it. "Oh, I'm so busy." It's not a badge of honor. It immediately says to me that you have a lack of equilibrium. I'm so busy. Like, it's just, it's not a badge of honor. Just, if you're saying I'm so busy, just have a think.
Yeah.
And, is it productive busy?
Yeah.
Look at your calendar and just prioritize those meetings, from 1 to 10. And then at the end of that exercise, just look at the ones that are 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Nice.
I bet it's probably a third of your weekly meetings, and you can just scrap them. Or what we say in EOS is delegate and elevate. So pass them off to someone else. You're the CEO, or you're the owner. Why are you taking that meeting?
Yeah.
Just
let someone else have it.
Trust someone else to do it, and give yourself that time back.
Yeah. Onto my quick fire questions, which I ask everyone, and I've not prepared you for these. Where do you go to develop yourself?
Wow. Can we pause this podcast?
Sorry, I didn't mean to curveball you quite so much there.
Well, I mean, again, I use this word. Is this going to be a woo-woo answer? I mean, I just get up and I do, and just in my daily doing, I develop. First thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I set my mood. I set my intentions for the day, because so often people just get up, they're half asleep, they bang their alarm, they get up, do their teeth, quick shower, change downstairs, and nothing changes. And they just, they just head off into the world without thinking about their day ahead or what mood they're in. Certainly in my worst days when I was very often hungover, I would just infect the house and often the business with my mood because I was tired and hungover and because I could.
Yeah.
And actually, that's really not being a good leader. Being a good leader, and I'll, and this is, I do this more and more on the home front now, is I set my intentions because I know that if I go downstairs in the morning and I haven't and I'm in a funk, it affects my family, and that's just not fair. That's not. I'm not the leader of the family. Far from it. I think I'm fifth in the family behind the dog. But I have that effect on the family. Just so yeah, I set my intentions. I'll have some quiet time. I'll sit and arrange my thoughts. Whether you call it meditation or quiet time or whatever. Sometimes it's a very deliberate meditation. Sometimes it's just a dog walk, which can be classed as meditation. You don't have to sit on a cushion with your legs crossed saying Om.
Fair enough.
And I think about my day ahead, and I think about things like, from a long-term perspective, I think I try and do something every year that's really outside my comfort zone. So this year I'm writing a book.
Amazing.
Way outside my comfort zone. That's my long-term goal for the year. My short-term goal for the year. So in January, instead of, and I'll probably annoy a lot of people saying this, but I think the whole dry January thing's a bit of a cop-out.
Okay.
Because everyone's boozed themselves silly in December, and they don't want to drink in January.
Sure.
And so making a big thing about I'm not drinking in January, bit of a cop-out because you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
The real challenges are stopping something that you want to do.
Okay.
And I thought about that this year, and I love watching TV.
Oh, okay.
And so I tried no TV January.
Right, okay.
And I found that really daunting.
I love that.
And for 3 weeks, it was fantastic. I felt like I gained 3 hours a day back.
Wow.
And I was going to the gym, I was going for walks, I was having Zooms with mates that live abroad.
Nice.
I was writing my book. So instead of that, and this again is humans optimizing for comfort. So how many people listening to this of an evening have dinner and just collapse on the sofa and watch TV?
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, at least be deliberate. Set your intention about what you're going to watch. If you're just flicking through and watching any old crap that comes up, then just have just check yourself. Just have a little think, could I be doing something better with my evenings? Because when you look back on life, I mean, the statistic is, I don't know it, but the hours of TV you will have watched in your life when you look back on it, I mean, it's going to be 10 years of your life, isn't it?
Mind-blowing, yeah.
So, and what I noticed when I started cutting down alcohol as well, a bit like cutting down on TV, was that you then start really looking forward to when you're going to have a pint or when you are going to allow yourself to watch a box set, at the end of the week. It really makes you look forward to it again. Whereas if you just flop on the sofa and watch TV every night, you're not living your best life.
For sure.
You're being lazy. You're taking the easy option.
I love that.
These are sort of, they probably come across a bit judgy, but they're supposed to be, thought inducing.
Sure. And what's one piece of advice that you'd give your 18-year-old self?
You git. You are not better than other people.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That really brings out the competitive side, the intrinsic competitive. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like saying it, but it's interesting it came up. They're rightly or wrongly. It's interesting to say I was about to say I was brought up with a sense of entitlement, and that sounds like I'm blaming someone else.
Yeah.
I don't mean to do that because I don't like blamers, but for whatever reason, I used to have this sense of entitlement.
Yeah. It really resonated with me, mate,
Yeah,
because I at 18, I thought I was like God's gift to the world.
Yeah.
So
and
it
teenagers
really
generally do, right? That's part of their survival mechanism.
And it's just unusual, it's not often we admit that stuff, right?
No.
So that resonated with me. I genuinely thought that I was going to change the world.
Well, that's different. Like, if you think you can change the world, that's great. We need people like that.
Yeah, but I think because I thought, but just by being me though, right?
Yeah, okay.
It was there was an element of entitlement to it for sure. I had to work hard to shake that, and it's really interesting because it's very easy for older people to look down on younger people and say how entitled they are, and I don't dare say that because I know that that's how I was once upon a time. And you're right, it does make it easy. I could easily blame my parents. It wasn't their fault. Yeah. Not their fault at all. It was just, for whatever reason, there was a special mix of me being, I valued competence, I valued capability, and I felt that I was capable and competent. And I probably underestimated the things that I couldn't do or my weaknesses, because I think that's a very masculine trait for sure. That's a real men's trait, is to overestimate. I just overestimated myself, I think. Is probably the fair thing. So I don't know how I've made this about me. There you go.
No, it's good.
I deflected away from your discomfort.
With it all being about me. So,
But
just on something you said there, some very deep work I've been doing recently, and this may help some people, and it may not. About the parents. Parents, like, all they're doing is the best that they know,
for
or
sure,
the best that they can,
for sure,
at the time. And it's a really, really hard job. You're constantly second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, there are bad parents out there. Who knows what they've been through? Again,
for sure. For sure.
Not judging them either, but some of the work I've been doing recently took a very surprising turn. And whereas I often use the same narrative you just did, which is, I don't blame my parents. It's not their fault. Actually, some of it was, and I think it's really, or certainly it's been valuable to me and other people I know that have done this. But it was very liberating to me to say out loud that they did make mistakes. And I am disappointed with them at some level, not overall. My parents are amazing and they did their best, and I've had an amazing life. But let's just be honest with ourselves, just like we do in a leadership team meeting. You make mistakes. You own the company. Of course you make mistakes. You're human.
Yeah, loads of them.
Course my parents have made mistakes, and we're idiots to think that they haven't. So it was really healthy, rather than just saying, oh, my parents did their best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, it was really healthy to say, yeah, they made mistakes.
Yeah, sure.
But from their human perspective, and just like, let's be real about this.
Yeah, sure. Really, fascinating to be fair.
Don't give me that look. I hope that look's been caught on camera.
I was going to say, so many questions and so little time, because we've already overrun from our hour, but it's absolutely fine. Time flies when you're having fun. I've got one final question, which is the one I ask everybody. Discipline or motivation? What's more important and why?
I mean, I wish I could draw it for you, but for any listeners, just Google the discipline versus motivation graph.
Okay.
Discipline every day of the week. You can't maintain motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It wanes.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline is constant.
Nice. Thank you. And on that bombshell, I've never heard anyone speak about discipline and motivation with such conviction. So I absolutely loved that answer. Fantastic. Thank you, Tim.
Welcome.
Tim, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed having a chat, and I'm sure the listeners will really enjoy listening as well. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Please do leave us a 5-star review on Apple if you're listening on Apple. We really do value it. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And we really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Tim's been absolutely excellent, and I look forward to seeing you on a future episode. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on today's It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you took the time to listen, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to ensure that you receive future episodes too. If you want to find out any more, please do search It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast, and you'll find it on your favourite podcast app. Thank you.